The situation in Ukraine, where the big story is that a plot has been unravelled to assassinate senior Ukrainian political and military figures, including the President Volodymyr Zelensky. We understand this is a Russian plot. 2 Ukrainian security officials have been arrested for their links with the group behind it, which had aimed to carry out high-profile killings ahead of Russian President Vladimir Putin's inauguration, which took place earlier this Tuesday. Kyiv says Zelensky has been targeted by Russia on multiple earlier occasions, including at the beginning of the Russian invasion in February 2022. Tom Canetti here at France 24 with this.
Russian insiders, Ukraine's secret service, claims were plotting to kill Volodymyr Zelensky. Among those detained were 2 colonels from the Department of the State Protection of Ukraine, accused of divulging classified information to Russia.
The network, whose activities were overseen by the FSB from abroad, included 2 UDO colonels who leaked secret information to the Russian Federation. Thus, the enemy was actively developing plans to eliminate President Volodymyr Zelensky. One of the most important tasks of the FSB agent network was to find officials among the military close to the president who could take the head of state hostage and later kill him.
Targets they plan to assassinate also include the head of the SBU and the head of the GUR, Ukraine's military intelligence. According to the SBU, the operatives intended to monitor and relay the movements of their targets to enable precision rocket attacks on their locations, followed by drone strikes to eliminate survivors and erase any evidence of the operation.
Tom Canetti there. Let's get more analysis. Iuliia Mendel joins us. Iuliia was press secretary to Volodymyr Zelensky from 2019 to 2021, where she witnessed firsthand the early years of the Zelensky administration. Indeed, her book, The Fight of Our Lives, is being updated by Iuliia right now. And of course, it's a great charting of that very interesting, indeed vital period of time. Iuliia, thanks for being with us. This plot to assassinate the president and other leading members of his team, what's your reaction to this?
Oh, well, Mark, first of all, thank you for having me here. Second, really, Russia tries every possible means to undermine Ukraine. And definitely President Zelensky has been elected with a record 73%. So the first thing that Russia decided to do when it brutally and unprovokedly invaded Ukraine in 2022, they tried to assassinate President Zelensky. And I was talking actually to his close friend, who had been the first security service head of Ukraine. It's actually like CIA. He told me some details saying that in the first 3 days, there were around 3,000 of counterintelligence operations that Ukrainian military, together with security service, did actually to stand against Russians who were trying to get to Kyiv and also who were trying to assassinate Zelensky and multiple Ukrainian top officials, including even ex-top officials like the head of Ukrainian parliament, ex-head of Ukrainian parliament, of course, the head of security service, etc., etc., etc. So he told me that Russia sent around 2,000 of Chechens and GRU office soldiers, its main directorate of Russian General Staff, to Kyiv. And they actually tried to get to Kyiv and to the office of the president by several means, by the air, on the helicopters, by the river, where they actually were killed. And they even had this absolutely science fiction plan to get to the presidential office bomb shelter under earth, which meant they wanted to use the underground tunnels, which was absolutely crazy idea, and nobody understand how it would work. They never managed to do that. So I know that there was an attempt to get into President Zelensky's house in Kyiv region, and there were some damages that have been repaired since then. So the thing is that Russia tried to use first its military, second sabotage groups, but also third, there were a lot of agents inside Ukraine that Russia was very generously paying to get different secret information. And when we see state guard who were selling secret information to Russia, this is really unbelievably crazy, because these are very close people to the president and to every top official. They literally know what president eats, what president drinks, when he goes to bed, like everything, every his step, as well as every step of every other top official. So it shows that Russia tries to penetrate very, very deep into Ukrainian politics, Ukrainian society, trying to undermine us from inside. And, this makes us very, very cautious.
This is going to really play into a feeling of paranoia, surely, for the president and for those around him.
I'm sorry, could you repeat, please?
This is going to lead to an element of paranoia for the president, for those around him, that this plot so close to the president has been foiled, has been stopped. But the very fact that it has happened, surely it's going to make a great deal of suspicion, raise a lot of suspicion for the president and those around him.
Well, I'm sure that obviously there is a lot of caution, a lot of warning, and, I guess some fear, because this is the death that going after these people, President Zelensky and other officials, like for, the third year, like step by step. I'm not sure how many assassination attempts Russia actually tried to make, but definitely we learn a lot of information that shows that they are very, very goal-oriented here. And definitely, they understand that by undermining Ukrainian authority, they will undermine the independence Ukraine, because Ukraine preserved its independence, even we lost a lot of territories and a lot of people.
Iuliia, the plot comes at a time when finally that $61 billion of US aid has been unblocked via Congress. It's been held up for such a long time, but obviously its effects are still not being felt, its benefits still not being felt on the front lines for Ukrainian troops. I'm wondering whether that, what's happened with the plot, other issues, the kind of war of attrition that's taking place, this must be affecting people's morale across Ukraine.
Well, actually, the last month there was a lot of desperation. It felt everywhere in the air, for the reason that many people felt betrayed, and you feel that there is no way out. People just keep dying. Civilians, military territories are being grabbed, and just there is nothing you can change. No one can change. So this kind of help, this kind of aid at least gave us some hope, because Russians are very persistent to encircling Kharkiv. This is the second largest Ukrainian city of over 1 million people. And that would be really, very sorrowful if we lose this city, or if it turns into, any kind of other ruin that Russia has been turning Ukrainian cities in. But if we understand that this aid is coming and some of ammunition is coming, then we feel like we can defend more civilians. Let me be frank here. I don't think that anyone from Ukrainian military or Ukrainian authorities today believe that we can return the territories thanks to this aid. But in perspective, first of all, we can defend more people. We can defend our cities, our towns, and this is the most important thing that we can do. So I'm really very, very thankful for actually preserving the lives of my people.
Indeed. I know from having read your book that you are from Kherson in the south, going down towards Crimea. And clearly Kherson is one of these places that is forever being hit. So clearly, I know from your own perspective, from your family perspective, great worries and concerns. When you hear the likes of Emmanuel Macron talking about the possibility of troops on the ground not being ruled out, when you hear Lord Cameron of the UK talking about long-range missiles for Ukraine to strike at Russian territory, when you hear Xi Jinping telling Macron just 24 hours ago that he's committed to not selling arms to Russia for use in Ukraine, does that give you any hope of optimism?
Well, when we talk about Chinese government and Chinese promises, it's always very ambiguous, and I'm afraid that China understands how valuable they are as a partner now, because they can influence Russia. So I have this feeling that they play the game on both sides. Let me just tell you that since February 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, China increased its exports to Russia 60%. And it's not only about just commercial goods, It's also about so-called dual-purpose materials which are used in Russian weaponry production. Last month, Russia imported 300 million value of such dual goal materials, which will be beneficial for its weaponry production. It's actually the reduction in the last half of a year from 600 million, but it's still, China is still the biggest supplier of these kind of materials to Russia. And US, the EU, United Kingdom, and Japan recognize these type of materials as a top priority, high priority for production of Russian defense sector. So what I mean, you know, there are just numbers, and some of this data is publicly available, and this data is confirmed by intelligence services in the West, that Russia is providing the materials that are helpful for Russia to produce weaponry. And in this case, you know, China needs to think that, in fact, if they want actually to contribute to some kind of a future peace deal, they cannot supply the aggressor with the weaponry or with something that would be useful. They cannot just play in, you know, both games, pretending to be a peacemaker, but at the same time contributing to aggression. So I understand that Ukrainian authorities really are looking for Xi Jinping to join the peace summit in Switzerland this year. And they want to send the message and to convince Xi Jinping that he can actually contribute to influencing Russia and to stopping this war, you know, and to achieving what is called fair, just peace, not just peace. Let's see how it will go. We have all hope that European Union leaders and President Macron could have some influence on Chinese leader, but you know, we will see. I hope we will see in the nearest future that Xi Jinping will make some concrete steps to establishing peace in the region.
Iuliia, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's always a pleasure talking to Iuliia Mendel, former press secretary to Volodymyr Zelensky. Do stay safe, and we can just show you the cover of Iulia's book, The Fight of Our Lives, which is currently being updated by Iuliia. She does have a story to tell. That I can tell you for sure. Thank you once again, Iuliia, for joining us here on France 24. We appreciate your time. Next.